There we go. What's going on, y'all? Let me get some links shared here, and we'll get going. What do I do here? There we go. Live stream.
Hello, everybody.
No, there's nobody in yet, I don't think.
What?
There's nobody in yet. I gotta share links, but you can come over and say hi. I didn't mean it that way, you butthead. Hello, and you're gone. It happens. Sorry, I'm sharing out links real quick and getting them done. No more. I'm a boy. Hey, hi Cassie, how you doing? Making sure there's no other chat going on. Sorry, I'm having a... Still sending out some links here, y'all. It's going to get loud for a second, I'm sorry. Let's see what that is going over. A Chinook. And you should be able to see it over my shoulder here, maybe. No, I guess that tree's in the way. Let me see here. Let me get my Screwtube back up here so I can actually see comments. Cooking a chuck roast. Nice. I'm doing okay. Nice day out, so we're hanging out here. Let me get the other camera turned on here. So we're going to touch on a couple different things today, and one of them is going to be kind of funny. The other one's really dark. Let's give you a good view. Turn the camera on. Ooh. There you go. What the hell?
What the hell?
Apparently my volume wasn't turned down the whole way. Hey, Warren, how you doing, buddy? Apparently it's still not down the whole way. What is going on with my volume? There we go.
Now it's down.
Trying to get used to this new stand, so. Okay, why am I only on the one thing here? Oh, because I paused. Gotcha. All right. So do you want to start out with one that's supposed to be serious but comes off completely as a bunch of dotes, or do you want to do the serious subject first and then cut up the rest of the show? You tell me. Oh my. Set this one up over here to hold this phone so I can actually see y'all, and I'll read the chat up here. Bad stuff first, Cassie says. Hi, Daniel. Welcome in. Mr. Elmo. Mr. Paint Chip Eater. I called Daniel a paint chip eater. Well, I'm not saying it's really good stuff, but it's probably something that you're going to find redundant, I guess would be the best way of putting it. Oh, hey, I guess it helps if I put this on all messages. Where are you going, Fluff? So you run. I whistle when you run faster. You little asshole. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I'm trying to figure it out here. It must be on here. So let's do that. Did that fix the echo? Echo be gone. Sounds like old CB radio. We're going nostalgic now. Can you all still hear me? I guess it's a better question. All right. So I read an article, a couple of articles on this subject. And I'm going to warn you, if you are squeamish, if you don't want to hear something that's going to horrify you, my main thing here is I want you to listen, but if you are going to be upset about it, I want you to not, I don't want to trigger anyone. But this is something that's really kind of important, especially if you have someone that you're a caregiver for, or you have a family member who is not in the best of health, right? Let me make sure that you guys hear me first. Can you still hear me? Okay, almost as yelled up the flashlight from my dad, not speaking about anything. So if you don't want to listen to this, I get it. You can turn your volume down. When I'm done, I will hold up one pointer finger like this to let you know that we are done talking about it. I am. But it's an important conversation that we really need to have right now, y'all. Hi, Jay. Welcome in. Still echo, but not sure what. I don't know. I have everything turned down. I even hit the mute button on the speaker here. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me why I'm echoing. If it's bugging you, I'll go grab a headset. You want me to go grab a headset? All right, I'll be right back. Hold on. All right, hold on 1 second. Okay. Is the echo? Why am I hearing myself in my head? That's not right. Is it echoing for you guys? Or is it better now? Because I can deal with listening to myself. It's still echoing. That makes no fucking sense. Alright, hold on. Let me play with settings here real quick. Nothing there that should be doing it. Okay. I still hear my bitch. Okay, I can't even hear Kate. So that's bugging me. Sorry, y'all. I gotta pull you out here. Okay. Nope, I still hear myself. If it was something that fucking stupid, I'm gonna be pissed. Second camera shouldn't be picking up anything, though. I don't have. Son of a bitch. Thank you, Tyler. Yeah, that fixed it. Now I feel like an idiot. When I went to move the camera, I accidentally turned the microphone on, it seems. So, all right, we're good now. Thank you, but no. You gonna get it? All right, so now that we got that figured out and fixed, thank you. So I apologize. I hope you, thank you for your patience. I appreciate it. Well, now what's going on? Almost says, hey, Tyler, after last night, maybe instead of calling it jar openers, we should call it crown stealers. Just kidding. We were having fun, though. So, okay, so we're going to talk about something that JFK just released as part of the HHS investigations. And that has to do with organ and some really startling accusations, to say the least, right? The fact that they're saying up to 30% of the time, doctors are harvesting organs off of people who are not completely gone. Okay? I have to be careful what I say here because YouTube will smack me over this. I know it. So I got to be really careful. That's why I'm not bringing anyone up with me. So, but yeah, think about that. You're at the hospital with your loved one. They come out and they tell you, hey, your family member, your loved one has passed away. They were an organ donor. So we're going to start, taking and getting them prepped and taking the tissues that we can take off of them. And then come to find out that they're doing this before your friend or your family are even gone. They're still alive, right? This should piss people off. It upsets me. That's fraud, in my opinion. I get them, they want them fresh, but you know what? They stay fresh for up to 2 hours after you're done. They have ways of keeping things going. That I don't think that's a good excuse, is they want them fresh, but I don't know. And they're trying to say that I don't see 30% of the time being an accident all the time. Then I watched Redacted on this subject, and they're talking about people being smuggled into the U.S. are waking up one morning to find themselves in the hospital missing a kidney or something like that, And there's doctors out there doing this for side money. They're breaking their oath and harming people for money. That's not right to me. Maybe I'm weird. I don't know. But I just think it's disrespectful and not a good look on us as a human race at the moment. You know what I mean? I mean, like, I don't have to worry about it because they can't harvest any of my stuff because of the medications that I'm on. I can't be an organ donor. I can't donate blood either. But it just makes you question everything. We've already questioned the medical field because of all the crazy shit that's going on the last 4 years, right? This just gives us another reason to question them. What? Huh, there's a little spider on the iPhone, isn't there? What you doing, buddy? What are you talking about?
All the empty ones that you have in the washroom, you gotta start throwing them out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, me. Oh, yeah.
Jay says, I want my organs fresh, but I don't want the person that gave it to me, how good it was for them next to me. Yeah, that would be kind of freaky, wouldn't it?
Have them deliver your sandwich,
So yeah, I just found that appalling, in my opinion. So I thought that that's something that needs to be talked about. It's something that needs to be shared out there, and they harvest everyone and take away. I don't know about all that. Why is Nana throwing cucumbers at you?
You hit the ground so hard with the one banana outside.
Oh, they're bananas?
Yes, they're bad bananas.
You're a bad banana.
You kind of figured that one out.
So, I mean, I'm not saying it can't happen, but I pity whoever gets mine, because if somebody's to get my blood, I mean, they're going to go for one hell of a ride and then go through withdrawals. That's all I'm going to tell you. So,
She's leaving, Rye. She's going away, Rye.
Where's she going?
To the tobacco store.
Oh. But, so now here's the other story I want to talk about, right? We all know that vagrancy and homelessness is already outlawed in the United States in most places, right? You're not allowed to loiter or, sleep out in the... Love you, bye, Mom. Be careful. But you're not allowed to sleep out in public spaces without permitting or something along those lines, right? Hagerstown, Maryland has decided that they're going to pass a new city law, new city ordinance. And it goes from August 6th through February 6th. Okay? And that means that law is that it is now illegal to sleep outside inside their city limits. Okay? So, I'm sitting here going, that's already illegal. There are vagrancy laws. Jay says, same, Chris. I don't have many fleas because they bite me and die from alcohol poisoning. Oh my. That'd be a hell of a way to go, I guess, though, Jay. But yeah. Tell your state to not say it's okay for people to be homeless. Tell them. And I hope this is going to sound really harsh, right? But being homeless wasn't supposed to be a thing where you made it so people had an easy time with it. We're not supposed to pay homeless people money to be homeless like California does. California pays their homeless people like $600 or $700 a month cash, plus gives them food stamps, medical assistance, and a free phone. Right? Why? Why are we doing this? Why are we reinforcing bad habits? This is not how we are supposed to live. It is supposed to be hard so that way they better themselves. Okay? Yes, it's hard on the streets. I get it. I don't want anybody to die on the streets. But I want them to work to get off the street with some help and better their lives and become a productive member of society. But yeah, so I found that funny. Yet again, the answer to people breaking the law and not listening to laws is making more laws that they're not going to listen to, right? I don't know the situation there, Ann, but we had that happen here in Lancaster 2 years ago. I think it was I guess it was actually almost 4 years now. It was back in 2021. Okay, a guy wasn't taking his medication. His mom was trying to get him to take the medication. He pulled a knife out of the drawer and was threatening to hurt people. So they called the police. Unfortunately, the cop didn't even get to talk to anybody, right? The body cam footage shows the cop starting up the steps to knock on the door, okay? And no sooner did he start up the steps, this guy comes out the door with this knife after the cop. And they tried to frame it the wrong way, of course. They tried to run with it that it was an unjustified pew-pewing. And they had people out there protesting and all this stuff. And this cop had no choice. It was either he did that or he was going to die. Elmo said, I have no problem with a safety net. Shit happens to good people. But when you land on the net, you're supposed to be thankful it was there and move off of it, not make it your hammock. Yeah, exactly, Elmo. And too many people are making it a hammock, and now it's losing its elasticity, so we're not helping as many people because of it. And says, sadly, so many organizations have benefited from homeless people since 1951, and shelters are nuts, not safe, and be better to have storage shelters for people to live in. Well, I'll call out the nonprofits right now. The nonprofits, a lot of them are not even trying to find, help these people to get out of being homeless, because they know that if everybody gets off the streets, they lose their jobs. So they're trying to keep the job security by not fixing the problem, right? That's one problem. One problem that I have with most nonprofits. My biggest issue with nonprofits is that it's a money laundering organization. What they don't take and use for administrative purposes, they pay their employees exorbitant amounts of money, pay their CEOs over $1 million, right? And it's supposed to be a non-profit. You are not supposed to profit off of this. But we've got a lot of people profiting off of this. And then less than 10 cents out of every dollar gets to people who need it. And that's wrong, in my opinion. That's why we have structured ourselves that we don't get paid. None of us get paid. We are a volunteer organization. I don't agree with that, and police organizations should never work by themselves and are not trained or care enough and shoot and ask questions. Okay, you got to go watch the video, Ann. I'm not gonna try and make you understand. You go watch the video, you'll understand exactly what I'm saying. The cop had no choice. It was either him or the other guy. If it had been a social worker, the social worker would be deceased right now, because that guy would have taken them out. There's no. Elmo says same thing with race baiters. There is no racism, real or made up. They lose their jobs. Yeah. So every situation is different when you're in a job where you're policing, or you're a medic or a firefighter. I have a friend who runs firefighting for Baltimore City. He can count more. He can't count on both hands. He's been shot at more than 10 times in his career, just trying to put out fires in the damn city. Your chat isn't updating. That's not cool. So, I'm not saying that police brutality doesn't happen, but it doesn't happen as much as people want to make it go out to be. And a lot of times that can be stopped by just people stop being stupid. When you get pulled over, be respectful, talk nice. Don't do stupid things like reach into the glove compartment when a cop's standing there really fast and making them on edge. Be smart about things when you get pulled over. You know what I'm saying?
That was almost bad.
Only for you. I'm going to laugh when a bird shits on your forehead.
I almost fell.
Pennsylvania isn't. It depends on where you're at. If you're in a big city, I'm going to say it's pretty much what it used to be. It's just more open about it, because the drugs, sex work, that was all happening in Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, Lancaster. I know the places because of. Yeah, Chris Rock did make a video. It was called "How Not to Get Your Ass Beat by the Police." That was the name of the video, Elmo. And it was Crabman from My Name is Earl was the passenger. Remember? I'll share that video on Discord later. But like everything else, there's good and bad people in every organization. I don't care what it is. The church, the police, the fire, the whatever. PTA has bad people. I've never had a gun pulled on me when I was pulled over. You know why? Because as soon as they pull me over, the first thing I do is I pull over, I put my window down, I reach and I grab my registration and my license, get it out. I put that in my hand, in my left hand, I hold it out the window so he can see it there, and my right hand goes on the steering wheel where he can see it. If you don't give a cop a reason to be afraid, 99% of the time, they're not going to pull out a gun.
The next time you're over here, can you make sure you get the branches that are right above the kitchen from back?
So, well, here's the problem with that. You're seeing incidents, and they post incidents on YouTube from years ago, and they make it seem like it just happens a lot of times. or you're only getting part of the video, right? You're not seeing the whole thing. So no, I'm not, and that's part of the reason why they changed the YouTube algorithm, is because so many people were watching these cop videos that it broke the algorithm, and they wanted to change it so that it wasn't showing all that violence. YouTube has a problem with violence, apparently, or so they say, but no, I promise you that's not how they treat everybody here. Elmo says if someone is acting weird or funny, cops might pull a gun because they are people also. They have a right to go home after work also. Yeah, I mean, and cops are, unless it's that idiot from Florida that, unloaded his entire magazine with his partner over an acorn hitting his car, that was ridiculous, of course. But most cops, I have friends who are police officers. Most cops are ex-military. They have great skill with using. Oh, Jay says if I don't read the comments that I'm responding to, then I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, so let me go back up here. Ann said up here when I said about the police officer with the knife, she said, I don't agree with that, and police organizations should never work by themselves and are not trained or care enough and shoot and ask questions or cover it up after is the problem. That's where I was saying that's not the truth down, to it. And then she said Pennsylvania is not like it used to be. I was saying it depends on where you're at. Honestly, the cities are just as bad as what they used to be. It's just that they used to hide in the shadows when they did everything. Then she said, yes, USA has always sucked that way. Pull people over and pull out guns. Disgusting, unfortunately. Again, that's not the way it is. So, but I believe if Canadians drive in the U.S. and speed, don't they have to pay a fine right away? It depends on the cop who pulls you over. A lot of times, sometimes they'll give you a warning and say, hey, you need to slow down. They do that a lot of times down here too. Again, it just depends on the circumstances. If you're flying and doing 50, 60 miles an hour over the speed limit, yeah, you're going to end up in a pair of cuffs and in the cop car. It doesn't matter who you are. You do that. But, yeah, everything depends on the situation and the people that are involved. And says police organization investigate themselves and need to change. I don't know where you got that from, man, but that's not true. At least not here in Pennsylvania. The attorney general has to go through, and the attorney general's office looks at all the and body cams, and they go through and they make the decision, not the police. So, yeah, that's not at all true. So, now my favorite is to watch these corrupt politicians that get pulled over. And then they're like, do you know who I am? Trying to get out of a ticket, Hi, Ruth. Welcome in. The problem is that you don't see all of the good things that cops do compared to all the bad stuff that they report on. That's the only thing you ever see is the bad things that cops do, right? You don't see all the times that they've jumped into bodies of water to try to rescue people out of cars when they've gone into the water. You don't see where they've gone out and they've, saved a baby or saved an animal because it was out. Have you seen the video where somebody called the cops on a bunch of kids in Florida that were playing basketball in the middle of the day and having fun? And the cop went out there and played basketball with them, right?
You also don't hear about how cops are goes to save animals and kids from hot cars.
Well, and Katie just brought up about saving kids from hot cars. Mares are on. Not if they're held accountable by the body cam footage. In Pennsylvania, it is illegal for you to turn your body cam off in the middle of a stop. It's illegal. If you get caught turning your body cam off in the middle of a stop, you will be fired. There is no questions asked. Ruth just got back from a bike EUC ride around the area. Good ride tonight. It's beautiful weather. I'm not saying that there aren't bad cops, Ann. There are. Like I said, there's bad people in all groups. The problem is good cops need to start calling out the bad cops. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm not going to blanket blame every cop for what a couple cops are doing. Ann says, I have seen police threaten people and people beaten up by police. And I'm not saying that doesn't happen. But it shouldn't be happening in this day and age. And if it does, there are so many cameras around. Even if they're not on the body camera, people have Ring video cameras on the front of their cars or on the front of their houses. People have security cameras up because of the stuff going on. So, hot today. Toronto is supposed to feel like 44 degrees today. Wow. I'm sorry. It's nice here anyway. I didn't even look at what the temperature is. The wind makes it a little easier to manage even with... Yeah, definitely. Especially if you build up a nice little sweat, right? If you get that sweat build up and then you use the battery to get that wind going, that'll keep you cool pretty good for the most part. Let me see what the temperature is real quick. It says we are at 87, feels like 93. Let me convert that to Celsius. So it is 30.56 degrees Celsius here today. Well, you're allowed to have your opinion. You're in your area. I don't know your area, so I can't talk about your area. That's one thing. I'm not gonna talk on something I don't know. I know that I've been pulled over in multiple states, and I've never had any problems except for I take my ticket and go. I had one cop pull me over. I was on my way home from dinner. It was me and Tammy, her mom, her stepdad, and Caitlin in the car. And they pulled me over because my taillight was out. And I pulled over. Again, I had all my information hanging out the window. And I told everybody to sit still. That way we weren't freaking out the cop. When the cop approached, I said, "What did I do something wrong, officer?" And he told me what was wrong. And I said, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that." I said, "Can I exit the car? I would like to see this." Okay. And so he left me come out of the car. We walked to the back of my vehicle. I popped my trunk. I looked at the light. It wasn't working. I tapped on it to see you know, that it wasn't coming back on. I thought maybe it just, hit a bump and popped off. And I said, okay, I apologized to him. I said, I will get it fixed tomorrow. And you know what he did? He wrote me a warning ticket, which is a piece of paper that says what's wrong. And then all you do is after you fix the problem, you take and go to the police station, hand that ticket to somebody inside. They'll come out and they will check to make sure it's fixed. And then they file it away. You don't get anything against you. Bruce said, my brother-in-law is a recently retired cop. Many cops that I'm associated to for years. So this is one I'll stay out of. They like to make extra funds, but many means. Unfortunately, it depends who is who in my area. Yeah, I mean, again, it depends on who it is. So. All right, let's get on to a different subject. What do y'all want to talk about besides this? What's going on in you all's day? What else? What have you all been up to?
Did I tell you about what happened? Sherry talked to a state trooper, and apparently there's another guy that's singing to my brother.
I'll tell you what, this chocolate milk, ice cold chocolate milk's going down really good today.
Seems like somebody's targeting motorcyclists.
Jamie's got her laundry and her bathroom cleaned. Awesome. Jay says, when they ask if I have any weapons, I say, no, sir. I've left my RPG at home. That's funny, Jay. Elmo said, you got the human element. Most try to do good. Some are eating, from police to teachers, doctors, everything. And it says, Elmo, totally agree, even in healthcare, too. Found out the heat advisory got extended until Tuesday. Oh, my. Bruce said, the bike ride and this time now are my break. I've been working on my next video almost all day. Cool. I can't wait to see it come out. Elmo said, I've been working on my wife's nerves for months. I didn't know she had so many. She said, I'm working on the last one. I hope that is good. I'm surprised your wife hasn't beat your behind there, Mr. Elmo. She's going to throw you in the dryer.
Why are we talking about dryers?
I said Elmo's wife's going to throw him in the dryer.
Why?
Because he said he's working on her last nerve. All right, so funny story about when my aunt and uncle were younger, right? My aunts and uncles were crazy. They did all kinds of crazy stuff. I remember them telling me about, they went down to the busiest street in the area, and my aunt threw my uncle's bike out into the traffic and wouldn't go pick it up. And so my uncle threw her bike out in the traffic. So now both bikes are in the lane of traffic and holding traffic up, traffic beeping. Well, here the neighbor had come past and saw it and told my grandmother. And my grandmother carried the paddle down and literally chased them home with it after they picked the bikes up out of the street. Then there was the time that they threw one of my uncles in the dryer and turned it on. That was a gas dryer, so that was fun, I'm sure. And it says, police vehicle went flying by yesterday, and boy, the vehicle sounded like ambulance in my opinion. Maybe time to wear my hearing aids. Well, they've got to be seen and heard, so that way people get out of the way and people stop so they can get through. I mean,
What is that?
in any kind of emergency, you want police and EMS to be able to get there as soon as possible to make sure that your family member is being taken care of the best way, right? That's what pisses me off about protesters that stand in the way and stop vehicles like that. You know, one day it's going to be one of their family that needs it, and they're going to understand because some asshole is going to be blocking the way, and they're not going to get the help that they need when they need it. And that's sad. I shouldn't have to say something like that. We should have enough human decency to not frickin' block life-saving apparatus. You see any deer lately, Jay? Do I need to look some stuff up here? Alright, I can't see chat for a minute.
Well, at least I'm on the phone with you, so you know if I can flat.
Yeah. So we're not going to go splat, but I don't want you to go splat.
No, you don't want me to go flat.
Yeah.
I feel like walking across right out in front of a cop car.
Zookeepers in Prague turn into puppeteers to save baby vultures. Yeah, I've seen that before. Have you ever seen that? Where they, oh, what the hell did I do now? There we go. Jay says I've got 4 bucks running around in their boys club. Nice, beautiful. That'd look nice in your freezer, wouldn't it, Jay? But yeah, baby vultures, or any baby bird for that matter, when they're born and they don't have a mother or a parent to take care of them, they have these puppets that they use to feed the babies. And they want to use the puppets so that way the people don't get used to being touched and being around humans.
Alright, love you.
Funny how the boys
Bye.
form groups until mating season. Yeah. You know, they'll hang out together, and then once mating season gets here, then it's rut comes on, and then they'll start competing for breeding rights. Jamie says, deer meat. Yeah, Katie does the same thing. Katie drools over venison. Don't worry, just sit there and look stupid. You're good. She goes, huh, what? But yeah, so what they do is they take these puppet birds and they have a hose and they take chopped up whatever they're feeding them. Usually it's like mealworms or something. They chop them up good. And then to simulate the regurgitation effect that a mom bird does to feed them, they just take and squeeze the whatever into the baby's mouth, and the baby eats. And it thinks it's eating from the mom. And it's a good way to help them to grow until they get to the point where they can be put out with other vultures that can teach them how to fly and stuff like that. There's also a story on there about a little league player from New Jersey they were trying to say they were suspending because of an unsportsmanlike bat flip. And I'm like, are you serious? This is getting ridiculous. You know, when you're punishing kids for doing something as simple as flipping a bat and catching it, you've lost the plot, people. Come on. They're just emulating what they see in the big leagues. That's all they're doing. Would you see a big league player suspended for that? That's ridiculous. So, but thankfully he actually beat the charges and he is not going to be suspended. Hold on, I gotta plug my phone in here. It's gonna die. There we go. No, do not allow. Haha, we're good. So, but yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I know there are certain things that you have to watch, make sure kids aren't doing. You know, spiking people. You know, where you slide into base and you take and put your cleats up so it hits them in the shins. That's a bullshit move, right? That's a suspension thing. My boy. We were talking about you today. Yes, we was, my fluff. Oh my. There we go. Alright, is my chat not renewing like it's supposed to or something? Are you gonna go see Sissy? Fluff left me to go to Katie. Caitlin, he's wanting your attention.
Boy.
What the hell is going on there? I don't know. Did we get kicked off the air again? No, it still says there's people here. Huh. Alright. Apparently I'm not finding things that hit the mark here, so what do y'all want to talk about? Yeah, I'm still here. I see Ruth. Ruth says I'm here. Elmo's still number one. Jamie, you better start working on getting your crown. I think Elmo was saying he's still seeing me. I think that's what that's supposed to mean. All right, I'm just not getting any chat. That's all I was wondering. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to stay away from political stuff right now. There's too much of that going on. I'm fed up with it. I know a lot of yous are fed up with the political stuff. And we're just trying to stay away from it a little bit and try and take people's minds off of things for a little bit. Got distracted. No, you're fine. I'm not upset or anything. Please don't think that. I just wanted to make sure nothing went wrong and I didn't chase everybody off. There's Cassie. So, but like I said, I'm tired of the political shit all the time. I want to do some fun stuff. Speaking of that, Saturday afternoon, what do you guys think about doing a game night or game time on Discord? Y'all interested in doing that, playing board games? There's a little white spider dancing.
Hmm?
Yep, Hulk Hogan passed away today. It's sad. There's a little white spider dancing around on top of my phone. Come here. Get up here. There we go. Let me see if you guys can see him there. You're right there, just chilling. Just a little guy. He's fighting with my hair, apparently. Alright, we're going to put him back up. Go on, get down there. Oh, you like it on my finger more now? Come on, off you go. There, it's back on the phone. Yeah. And I saw, it makes me sick. I saw some people on X celebrating him passing, and I'm just like, you people are disgusting. I'm sorry, I will not celebrate anyone dying. That's not my thing. I don't. I know there's people out there that are going to be happy when I pass, and that's on them. I guess they have their reasons. I don't know. But I will not take part in the bad habits that I condemn. It's just not me. Elmo says Hulk Hogan was baptized 18 months ago. I'm glad to hear that. Cassie says truck roast has less than 2 hours to get done until done. Very nice. Ann says yes, totally agree with you. Yeah, yeah. There are people who are taken from this world way too early sometimes, and then there's people who are left on here for a long period of time, and you just don't see why. And sometimes I think it's just to show us that they're how horrible some people can be. In all honesty. Ian said prayers for everyone in storm path, and hopefully send rain to help out the wildfires in Canada. How many wildfires are going on out there? Elmo says, thanks, Cassie. Now I'm hungry. I am kind of hungry. I haven't eaten today. I'm going back on my intermittent fasting. My doctor's visit was not a good one. I'm back up to about 280 pounds. My sugar's out of whack a little bit. My cholesterol's out of whack because the sugar's out of whack. So I got to buckle down and do my thing and get back into what I was doing before and get my weight down a little more.
Chocolate milk.
It's nothing to do with the chocolate milk, you little shithead. Katie's going, it's because you drink too much chocolate milk. Kids, I tell you. I grabbed the wrong lid. That's Ryan's lid.
Hello?
It's summer. There's always wildfire somewhere. Yeah, especially down here in the States and up there. I get it. I just haven't seen anything in the news about it. So, but yeah, hopefully they get them under control and stuff. That's not something, the more trees that burn, the less oxygen that gets made and put into the atmosphere. So, hi Vernon. Is he just getting out of the way of cars or what? Yeah, I guess so. The neighbor down from the farm has a gator, and he was coming up. He pulled in my yard. I was just making sure he didn't want to talk. Okay. I would agree with you, Anne, except for I mix my own chocolate milk. I make my own, and I don't put a lot of chocolate in it. So mine's very, very light on chocolate. Unless some asshat makes it and puts half the bottle in it.
Usually.
Yeah, Katie made it for me one time, and I mean, it was like fudge. Elmo says, my doctor said my stuff was out of whack. Also, she was also my psychiatrist. Elmo says, but without a burn, the soil gets depleted and everything dies. Yeah, people don't realize the earth has its own way of cleansing itself, right? Floods and wildfires are how the earth takes in and replenishes itself. That's part of the reason why the climate's changing so much, is that we have put so many obstacles in places, and it can't clean like it's supposed to. Does that make sense? Don't worry. A couple of big volcanoes erupt, and that'll throw enough dust and stuff in the air that it'll cool the temperature down a couple of degrees. Chocolate and codeine, is that what that's supposed to say? Cho alert and codeine. I think your spell correct got you again, Jay. Ann says probably cleaning out the land for a new pipeline and greed over humanity. Yeah, I understand pipelines. I know people don't like them, but if you take into account the amount of accidents. No, you're good, bud. I wanted to make sure I was reading it right. That's all. I have bonfires for fertilizer for my trees and compost too. It helps save funds on fertilizer. Yeah. Chocolate. I got you. So I was right. Okay. Now you're good, bud. I wasn't sure what was going on. I wasn't sure if I was reading it right or not. So, but yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, if you have 3 of the biggest volcanoes in the world go off at once, it would put us into a perpetual state of winter for the next 20 years. Did you know that? All right, who's going over us now? Give me 1 second here, y'all. Is that Chinook coming back? Yep, that's the Chinook coming back. There's a Chinook coming back from Indiantown Gap. It's going back south. You should be able to see it right now up here.
I saw it already,
It did, Chris. My iPad has a broken screen and messes up my autocorrect. Yeah, I thought so. There's some big old hay bales. Hi, Cal. Welcome in. Congratulations on your big purchase, sir. But yeah, I can tell you the effects of having a tanker completely filled with oil, right? Tip over, bust open on a highway, the damage it does. Sorry I'm late. I was attending a Discord event with friends. No problem, bud. You guys don't owe me an explanation for nothing. I appreciate when you guys come in. I don't expect you to be here all the time. Jay says, my better half is here. Did you blow him a kiss? Is that what that is? Oh, no, he's still thinking. Cal says, thanks to Jay for helping me get a car. Yeah, congratulations, bud. What in the hell is up with all the side-by-sides anymore? They're everywhere. And says, had to cut back the plum tree and had black knots, unfortunately, and then burn it in a fire pit. Yeah, but you're taking care of the tree, so, I mean, that's a good thing. It'll last a long time if you keep doing that. Elmo says, wouldn't messing with your autocorrect make things spelled right, Jay? 2008 Toyota Highlander, low miles, 174,000 miles. Damn it, I can't read a number today. Nice. It looks nice. I saw the pictures. It looks like it's a really clean car. So, but let me tell you about our experience. One day, I'm at work. This is when I worked up at the waste place. We were getting rid of industrial waste. Our company had just acquired a company out of York called Wreck Oil that takes old oil and cleans it up, repurposes it, right? So, not even a month after we purchased this company, my bosses, I come in, I was running the afternoon shift, and I come in and I'm like, what's going on? Because, I mean, people are flying around, people are yelling, screaming, cussing. I mean, the owners are in there cussing. And I come into a meeting to where the president of the company looks at us and says, well, I'll tell you, but this might be your last day of work. Okay. Here, up on 78, which is a major highway up in Pennsylvania here, up near Allentown, a truck, one of our trucks for Wreck Oil, was coming down with a fully loaded tanker fast and rolled the tanker over, split it open, and dumped 6,000 gallons of reclaimed oil all over the highway, into the wilderness. And worst of all, I'll tell you here in a little bit what the worst part was. But they're telling us that, hey, we've got to pay for cleanup. We've got to scrape miles of highway and pay for it to be redone. We've got to pay for any cars that were involved. And then here's where the kicker comes in. This is what really, really, really screwed us. Where he did this was right at one of the major craft food processing plants. This oil flowed down and got into their water supply. So we had to pump their pond, their water supply, which is millions of gallons of water. We had to completely pump it out. We had to pay a company to come in and dredge the bottom to get all the oil contaminated soil out. And then we had to pay to put liners in and refill it with fresh water. They weren't sure their insurance company was going to be able to cover the entire loss. They thought we were going to be out of business the next day because of it. So, yeah, I get it that people don't like pipelines, but pipelines keep things like that from happening on a daily basis. There's an accident every day where something like that happens, and if you can pipeline it there, it keeps it isolated into places usually that they can trough it and keep it from spreading and causing more issues. That's all I'm saying. So I see the good and the bad from the pipelines. And so some say June and July hot for news. August will be hotter for the truth and news, hopefully. Hi, Animal Farm. Jay says no rust. I believe it was garage kept. That's good. Yeah. If you take care of a good car, it'll last you a long time. My Explorer, I think, is just about to hit 200,000 miles. So, how are you today, Animal Farm? Are you starting to get your classroom ready for school yet? It's still working, I guess. I think it froze, though. Yeah, it's definitely froze. Hold on. Was the battery almost dead? Yeah, I'm just going to turn it off. There we go. Is it still on? No, I want to turn it off. Cal says garage kept and probably driven by a soccer mom. Animal Farm says doing just dandy. I will start in August. Okay, cool. Do you not start until like Labor Day like we do? Our schools up here don't start until Labor Day. Ouch. Actually, I got to show you something real quick, so I'm going to turn this back on. Boo. Now you got two of me. Now what? And says, yes, weird how school goes back earlier in U.S. And is that for all states? No. Certain states start back earlier. It has a lot to do with going back to farming. A lot of times they started back earlier. All right, hold on. I'm going to reset here because I'm froze completely on my end. I'll be right back. All this time I'm talking, and you guys couldn't hear me because I wasn't smart enough to turn my damn microphone back on. Animal Farm says my school is a college prep school, no farming or trade. And back in the day, kids were labor on the farm. That's why you had kids. That's why the Amish have kids, is to help on the farm as they get older. That's nothing. Thanks, Jay. Animal Farm says we have less funds than public schools because we are funded by parents, not the government. And that's a good thing. We need to get back to more of that. You know, parents need to get back into their kids' lives when it comes to school and stop expecting the school to babysit and do everything. When your kid gets home, make sure you're checking their homework. Make sure you're going over stuff with them, making sure that they're learning the stuff that you want them to learn. That's your job as a parent, you know. I just don't understand, sending your kid off and going, well, what, they can just teach you, whatever they want, and I don't care as long as they're a babysitter. Was I that way, Caitlin?
No.
No, I was Katie hated me growing up. I'll tell you that now. I had the passwords to all of her social media until she graduated. And I had the password to her phone. And if I ever told her I wanted to see my phone, what happened if you told me no?
I got in trouble.
You lost your phone, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Parents need to start being parents again and stop being best friends. Ann says yes, and Mennonites still do, but I certainly wouldn't pay to send anyone to do farm labor. And you're missing what I'm saying, and that's not what I'm saying at all. Okay, I'm saying that the kids went to school in August and learned regular schoolwork until like September, October, and then when it was time to harvest, they would get a break from schooling to go home and help bring in crops and harvest. And after harvesting was done, then they would return to schoolwork. I didn't say they were going to school to learn how to farm. I think you misunderstood me there. Jay said agreed, only a small part of what they learn is learned from school too. Yeah, one of the things I wanted to instill in Caitlin was a love for learning from the beginning. I wanted her to read a lot. I wanted her to be interested in all different kinds of stuff, Animal Farm said it is hard when you have two working parents. I get that too, but still, I mean, it takes 10 minutes to go over somebody's homework most of the time and just see what they're learning and make sure they got it. If they don't got it, then, growing up, being a parent is sacrifice. We all know that. Yeah, Ruth said it was the same way in Canada back in the day. Yeah, it was that way everywhere, I think, until, we got the modernized machinery that made it so that, one person can farm an entire, 100 acres. Jay said, school makes you smart, life makes you wise. Yeah. Jamie just posted a picture on Discord of the temperature in her parking lot. Apparently it is 141.2 degrees. Yeah, that was before industrialization, Animal Farm. You're right. And a farmer shouldn't have to go to school to learn how to farm. They should be learning that from somebody who's actually farming. You know what I mean? That's how I learned. My high school would be considered a farm school. We learned we had agriculture, technology, and mechanics back in the day. But it was just normal stuff. It was stuff that we would have learned in shop class and stuff too. And farmers are having such a hard time making anything go right now. It's rough. They're just trying to make a living and feed their families just like anyone else. Yeah. Yeah, like Jay said, they used to be all schools and farms. You know, the school was actually usually centrally located so that all the kids could come to school without having to, go a great distance. I actually have a brick one room schoolhouse right down the street here that they used to use back in the day. I think they used it up until like the 60s out here or something. Animal Farm says small farmers are struggling with the government regulations that help big farms. Exactly. Jay, the Amish up here actually, when they get into a new neighborhood, they actually have a lotto, and that lotto is for, there's three things you can get. You either get the cemetery, you get the schoolhouse, and there's something else I forget at the moment. And yeah, our neighbor's got the cemetery. It's right back the street here. I can take you back. We'll go for a walk. Maybe tomorrow morning we'll do a walk and talk. I haven't done one for a while. If you stop giving taxpayer funds to farmers, especially the small farmers, they'll fail. And they'll go under. They can't make enough money without the subsidization. That's just the way it is in this way it is these times now. You're paying $4 or $5 a gallon for milk, right? Do you know how much the farmer makes off of that? How much the farmer gets paid out of that? My neighbor used to get $1.25 a gallon. That's all he got for milk. And most of his crops went to feeding his cows, so he wasn't selling a lot of crops to subsidize the farm. If we don't protect our farms, then one day we're not going to have farms and we're not going to have anything to eat. Everybody starves. unless you're eating all the crazy stuff that they're going to print out, like that printed meat. You heard that too? I don't know. I know that when they did the pipeline up here, they went through a lot of the farmland. Because I have a pipeline that runs right beside the house almost here, and they actually pay the farmers to have that there. Jay says the farmer gets the smallest share. It's messed up. Well, I mean, I get it, but you know, too bad, how sad. So that makes absolutely zero sense to me, Ann. You let small farmers go under, and then nobody eats. Milk goes to $10-$20 a gallon. Okay, I don't know what to say to that. Farming has always been the backbone of the economy. It's always been the backbone of the community. You know, it used to be that farmers only raised for what they needed. You know, and everything was sold locally. And now everything's sold on these giant markets that fluctuate so much because of, you know, if there's an overabundance of grain or something, it drops, the bottom drops out of it, and nobody's making any money except for the people who are selling it. So, I mean, I guess I've seen the problem personally. I've worked on farms. Oh, you're talking about the permitting. I get you there. Yeah, I know. I see what Animal Farm's talking about, that big. I think that hasn't gone to the Supreme Court here in Pennsylvania yet. I think they're still fighting it. I'll have to look into it, Animal Farm. But yeah, I mean, farmers are really important in my opinion. It's just my opinion. Oh boy. Well, that being said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up here. Thank you all for being here. Hopefully you had a good time. Hopefully we all learned something. And yeah, I hope they get that fixed, Animal Farm. I'm not happy with that either. That's it's a money-making scheme from the state, and it needs to be nipped in the bud. But y'all have a great night. I will see you on Discord here in a little bit. And most of the time, the Roundup is now built into the plants. It's they have these seeds now that the farmers use that have Roundup already in them. Elmo says, okay, God bless everyone. Have a wonderful evening. Animal Farms had a good one. Jay said, peace, American flag, and prayers. Yeah. All right. Love you guys. Appreciate y'all. And I'll see you in the morning. Well, I'll see you on Discord if you're on Discord. And yeah, be safe. Have a great night, everybody. Peace. We're out. I'll see you tomorrow.